AI agents are by far the biggest narrative in crypto today. So today we're going to do part 2 of agents or AI agents that I think you should be following. Let's get straight to it. Welcome back to another video. My name is Waj and we've covered some agents before. Today we're going to cover 6 more different agents and I'm going to show you what they are, how they work and why they're interesting. Again, these are individual agents themselves. They're not frameworks, they're not infrastructure, they're not platforms. We'll cover that in different videos. These are individual agents built using other frameworks and we're going to go through a few of them. So let's start off by talking about Hack Terminal. Now this is the first ever white hack AI agent which can essentially run through various different smart contract code and try to find errors within them. Now, the reason why it does this is because many different protocols, as I'm sure many of you are aware, do have bug bounties, some of them pretty big, and because of this, an agent like this can actually make a lot of revenue. And you can see if you go on their Twitter, they've actually found revenues on various different platforms, including another AI platform, which is VVAI Foo. So they've found vulnerabilities, this agent has, and it can basically get some of these bug bounties. In fact, they've already been able to find a few issues with Virtual's platform, Spectral, which is another platform, and probably are scouting to find vulnerabilities in all kinds of protocols. Now, I imagine that they're probably going to look for vulnerabilities in DeFi protocols, especially maybe kind of some of the more high risk stuff, bridges, money markets, etc. And I think this is like a really, really interesting thing. Now, it's built by this gentleman, Chaotic, who's a white hat dev. And you can see like they've been in touch with the various teams that they've basically found vulnerabilities on. They have their own terminal as well. Now, the interesting thing here is really kind of what happened. So first of all, in terms of like what they're planning to do, I think one of the interesting things is to integrate with other AI, with other white hat platforms, I should say, the likes of Sherlock. You know, these are auditors, right? Some big name auditors, and look for bounty opportunities. And this means that they should be able to, if they do find anything, they should be able to actually recover or get some pretty good revenue. Now, remember, an agent is generally always going to be better than a human at analyzing code, especially once it's been trained well. I think the training is the most important thing. And if you're trained by a white hat dev, maybe this is a pretty good thing. So you look, I mean, I'm not here to really speculate on, you know, what the value of this token is going to be or anything like that. I have no idea. This could go up today and down tomorrow. I think all of you guys know that. What's interesting though is that the utility of this token is through bounty redistribution. And so holders receive basically a pretty decent chunk of various different vulnerabilities that can be discovered. So self-discovered vulnerabilities, pretty decent amount. If it's user-assisted, then it's less so. But I still think these bounties are pretty interesting. It'll be interesting to follow up and see kind of what protocols they find these hacks in. But either way, I think this is a great service to the entire crypto industry. I mean, we've seen countless exploits over the years, and I think now you have a way to kind of get exposure to an agent that is able to find these, protect users' capital, and of course earn revenue from it. So I think this is a really, really interesting agent, and that's kind of why I've mentioned Hack Terminal here. Right, moving on, number 2, we're going to talk about Digimon. Now, to be honest with you, I'm not the biggest gamer. Maybe I used to be when I was younger, but not so much anymore. So you might be thinking, why on earth are you talking about this? This is this Digimon is essentially going to be a game built with a variety of different AI agents within the game itself. Now, the reason why this actually caught my attention was a number of things. Firstly, I watched this video in which they participated in one of the Solana AI hackathons, and essentially their vision was to create this kind of game filled with evolvable AI agents. And I think this is really interesting because I think games is like one sector that I think AI agents probably could revolutionize, especially when you think about like single player games, right? You play them once, you finish the game, that's it. But if your AI agent is able to kind of have a different storyline, then the entire game can actually change. And this is why I think agents in gaming might be a really, really, really interesting sector. Either way, I mean, so far with everything that I've seen, it's not the most impressive. What did catch my attention though was who is behind this. And again, this doesn't actually mean anything, but I think it is just interesting, and that's kind of what I wanted to show you. This gentleman, Ethan, is an ex-AI engineer for the Pokemon Go app. And now he's building this virtual world called Digimon. Again, this is extremely speculative. I'm not telling you to buy the token. The token doesn't mean anything at all to this game. I'm sure many of you know this, but I want to really reiterate that. That could go up or down, and if it goes down, like it could, so I'm not telling you to speculate on that, but I think it'll be interesting to see what this game looks like in future and kind of how they build it out. But you've got a founder who's ex-AI engineer at Pokemon Go, now building this AI ecosystem with creatures that are AI agents. Seems pretty interesting. Again, we'll have to wait and see how things go. But yeah, it definitely caught my attention. Right, next we're going to talk about something that has been built by this gentleman, Jeffy. Now, some of you who are watching may actually recognize this guy. This guy is the founder of Cerebro, and Cerebro now is actually probably one of the largest crypto AI frameworks that we have. I've talked about this in a previous video. Now, what's interesting is that as well as creating Cerebro, he also is part of this thing called Blorm. Now, I don't know if he's the founder of Blorm or not, but he's definitely associated with it, considering he's got it in his bio. Now, Blorm are interesting because they have this agent called Blormmy, and Blormmy is basically one of the first agents built on the Zeripi framework. The whole point of the Blorm or Blormmy agent is that it is supposed to help you with your on-chain transactions, really automating all of this. So you can kind of simply type in commands. Maybe you want to swap your USDC into ETH and you want to bridge it from one network to another. You can essentially type it into a terminal and it can perform those actions for you. Now, if I'm being honest, this terminal is pretty basic. I don't really like it that much, especially when you compare it to other kind of competitors like Griffin. But I think it is interesting because if this does come out and it can do a lot of this stuff, maybe it can do more cross-chain actions, more EVM capabilities, maybe there's some Swarm stuff integrated in there as well. I think then this could actually be pretty interesting. And I think, yeah, on-chain actions on Zeripi. I think that is basically the narrative. I mean, they're looking to kind of put this on all kinds of chains. I think there's something to do with Sonic as well. I mean, this would be pretty cool if Blormmy is the first agent that's kind of being able to use this. And I think, yeah, Jeffy has had major success with Cerebro. It's trading at, over $500 million now. Again, that doesn't mean that these things are going to go up. I mean, these things could definitely go down. I mean, just imagine if like this video marks the top. I mean, who knows? But I think this is something that is interesting and definitely caught my attention. So that's Blormmy. You can play around with this terminal yourself, see what you think of it. I think it's not that great at the moment, but I can certainly see the potential that this does have. Next, we're going to talk about Spore. Now, Spore really caught my interest because I was really looking into this concept of AI swarms, basically AI agents that are able to help other AI agents in very interesting ways. And this was really interesting when I looked into the lore and kind of what they were trying to build here. And so they have created this platform for AI agents to essentially breed and evolve by themselves. And so have a read of this. I'll try and leave the link to this in the description. But essentially, they've created this game where they have an AI agent. It's based on the ELIZA framework, and so it can use all of the ELIZA plugins available. And it also has, each of these agents has, I believe, a TEE kind of wallet, where these agents have to abide by a set number of rules, and basically the aim of the game is for these agents to become profitable. Now, if the agent, which again has all of these different plugins available, is able to achieve success and generate wealth for themselves, and the agent can do this for a variety of ways. Maybe it's through kind of gaining attention. Maybe it's through doing trading on Solana marketplaces. Maybe it's through receiving donations. Whatever it does, it's got its own brain, right? This agent is just a bot and an LLM, and it can do what it wants with the ELIZA framework that it's built on. And success is measured by whether their tokens achieve a $500,000 valuation or not. If it does get to this level, then what the agent can do is it can create an offspring. And so the first agent was created. It was called Spore. It has a TEE it has a TEE wallet, I believe, and it is using TEEs. Maybe, in fact, the actual agent itself is within a TEE, and I believe this is through the Fala network as well. It achieved a balance. It was able to raise, let's say, $6 million. It was able to offspring, and it's been able to create these two other kind of agents, and then they kind of go on and on and on and on and on. They have to follow these specific rules that have been created, their main goal is to basically think, adapt, interact, pass down kind of really good traits that they have, and main thing is they need to achieve this 500k valuation, and they can do this in whatever way possible. It is an experiment. Again, don't invest in some of these agents. You're just going to lose money. I'm telling you that right now. But I think this is such an interesting concept, and I think this is very, very early days, very, very, very early days. And right now, this stuff is very experimental, but I think you can clearly see wow, these agents, by themselves are able to create so much value. And that is interesting. So you can see like the kind of breeding that's happening with these agents themselves. They're creating new agents and they're creating new agents. Let's see kind of where it goes. Some of them performing really well, some of them really not so well. They all have their own personalities, their own Twitter pages. Let's see what happens next. But this one was pretty interesting. Now, moving on, I believe this is the fifth one. So we've seen the success of AI XBT, probably one of the most influential accounts on crypto Twitter today, and that's predominantly because of its large following and its ability to give alpha. And it's because it's been trained on so many different content creators, data sources, and much more. Now, there's another one that's popped up recently, and it's called 3 Sigma or something along the lines of that. And this, again, does something fairly similar, where it kind of has been trained on a variety of different sources and is able to provide some really, really incredible alpha. So you can see that it's tracking on-chain wallets, it's tracking kind of transactions that have happened. And this one really has a focus of the on-chain environment, whereas XBT doesn't as much. So this has really been able to catch a lot of attention. You can see the impressions that this has been getting, kind of tweeting every single hour as well. It's kind of tracking wallets, it's tracking coins, really, really giving you a lot of alpha. Like, it's telling you about, look, there's token unlocks coming, there's all kinds of stuff. And this can be a really interesting account to follow if you're looking for, let's say, on-chain alpha or anything like that. It's therefore been getting, a lot of attention right now. And again, you can kind of have a look at their terminal. This has been created by this guy, who I don't know so well, but I mean, you can definitely learn a thing or two about what's going on with their company as well. But definitely one to pay attention to as well. Last but not least, I think this is one of the most interesting and one of the most fun that I've played around with. This is Beats AI, which is built on Hyperliquid, and this is the first AI agent that on Hyperliquid, I should say, that is able to create music. And it's really, really cool. You can see that there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of soundtracks that have been created, and you can even create your own. You can write a title, a description of the track, which genre, you can add custom lyrics, and an AI agent will make it into real life. Play around with this one, it's really fun. You don't need to pay anything as far as I'm aware either. You can just kind of play around with it. AI agent music creation. Perhaps some of these songs can get monetized. Maybe they go on Spotify. Maybe there's a way for these agents to actually make a lot of money from them as well. You can have vocals or just instrumental onlys. Change the genres, change the mood. You can add a description and kind of add your own lyrics. It's really, really cool. After creating your own track, I think you really get an idea of how cool some of this stuff is. Sure, it's not going to be like the next Ed Sheeran, but who knows? Maybe it can be. Either way, I thought this was really interesting, and I love to see crypto use cases in the real world. So this one is definitely a little bit creative and one that caught my attention. So I think that covers the 6 that I've mentioned today. Again, this video is going to go on far too long. We're going to have to do part 3 and part 4 and part 5 because there are just so many agents popping up and so many of them are really interesting, and I want to showcase some of them to you. Please be very careful. These tokens are extremely volatile that are attached to these agents. And they have, at times, nothing to do with the agent itself. The agent can perform some really interesting stuff, and the token might not do well at all. You have to remember that this is the game that we're playing. No financial advice whatsoever. Make sure that you're very careful, because I think the vast majority of people are unfortunately going to lose money when it comes to investing in AI agents, especially as the trend moves on and as the cycle continues. So please, I'm telling you, be very, very careful. This is a very risky and volatile game. Let me know what your thoughts are. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back with plenty more content in the not so distant future.